Well, what better way could I possibly start my new year than to have Larry Goldberg on to help us review what happened in 2023 and what he's thinking about in terms of 2024? I have no idea what he's even going to say. So I will just, he's going to be interviewing me more than the other way around. Larry, what you got? Talk to me. What you got?
Well, firstly, let me start by wishing everybody a happy new year and to you and yours. And I hope it's a good year for everybody. I, I only wish for peace and end of wars, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about where we've been, what we saw, what happened, and then talk about what I think is coming. I've got some stuff where I disagree a lot with some people and agree with some others. um, and I've been roundly castigated for some of my projections, which
Never me. Nobody ever castigates me for my projections. Everybody just
yeah.
says, yeah, Randy, obviously.
Yeah, I guess. Let me share my screen and you see it?
And we do. We're all
Uh,
set.
Perfect. So, you know, I, what I want to do is spend a few minutes looking back at 2023 to look at the salient features. You can perhaps pick up some that I missed. But let's look at the salient features because I think they can teach us quite a lot about um, you know what what happened and where it's likely to take us.
Okay.
So in terms of what happened, kind of divided it into between the factories. Um, And we began the year, well, not exactly began the year, but we had Investor Day, and at Investor Day, we announced the Mexico factory. We'd had a lot of rumor about the Mexican factory, and it was announced. And what's interesting, when it was announced, Elon said it was going to be to pioneer the Gen 4, the next gen process. Later in the year, we learned that actually the next gen process was going to be implemented in the Gigafactory in Texas. And by the way, that was a very important learning because, people started saying it towards the end of the year that the production line is already in place and already exists because of some of the conversation they read in Walter Isaacson's book. I think that's a fallacy. I think, the conversation was more that he was looking at the production plans rather than walking the line because, the decision to move to Austin was made, I think, late in the year. The chance of a production line actually existing was pretty minimal to zero. I think it's, some of this kind of wish fulfillment that we do to ourselves. But Investor Day was very important. I think the importance of Investor Day is not fully yet appreciated. The amount of material that we were given, I've been through that presentation now 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah. And what I did in the end was I downloaded the transcript
Mm-hmm.
so that I could study it. It
Mm.
is so jam-packed with information. It's amazing. That's where I figured out the profitability of the supercharging network and the opportunities that really lay in the supercharging network. And Master Plan 3 is an incredible piece of work. I mean, Master Plan 3, they've looked at energy from an end-to-end perspective. And they've laid out a plan for energy that goes, into great depth. And the people who have actually read that master plan and actually have, taken in what there is to learn from it, I think are going to make some major and valuable investment moves in the coming years. And I've already seen some really good advice, on actual share picks as a result of Master Plan 3.
Oh,
I do know one of the surprises of Master Plan 3, I'll just mention, is hydrogen. We often demean hydrogen because
Elon does.
because of the whole Nikola business,
Right.
and hydrogen is patently not good for vehicular use, but hydrogen plays a very important role in the Master Plan 3.
Yeah.
And there is a lot to be learned in terms of opportunities for investment in that
space.
And that's true. I'm mentioning one item because it so happens that a friend actually used that information that I pointed out to them and ended up with some very nice investment advice.
Oh.
So the other important point about Master Plan 3 that really bears looking at is, the unveiling of the management, the step up of the 20 people who are on stage.
Right.
And the fact that Elon is clearly having these people step forward. I mean,
right.
We saw after Investor Day, we saw that with the rollout of the Cybertruck, Elon stepped back. He did one interview with Sandy, but he stepped back and he allowed, the management as a whole to really step up and talk to their particular areas of expertise. This bodes very well for the maturing of the company, and I think is very valuable information. I did an analysis of the longevity of the management that serves and I focused on those particular people and some others as well in the top ranks. And really, it's amazing. The average service time of those people are I think it was 9 years.
Right.
And so, what that gives us an insight to is the maturity of the management, the depth of the management, and the skill sets, which is abundantly clear from listening to them. So it was a very, to me, it was the most important learning from Master Plan 3.
And Larry, on top of that, one of the things that I've pointed out, even back in the Elon Musk method, was the transparency of Elon Musk, the ability to use Twitter, then X now, as a platform for additional transparency and for feedback from consumers themselves. And what a superpower that is. Now you have that same management team, many of those same management team members who are now on X. And so they are now interacting with that same public, getting that same feedback, being able to be transparent about what they're working on and how it's working out. There's just no other company that has this kind of transparency. And I think it's a major, major benefit to Tesla.
Absolutely right. I find myself now following so many people at the top level, but also multiple levels below that on X, getting really valuable information. And of course, the community often shares what they, when they pick up that somebody is posting. So yeah, I mean, it is very, very, very valuable for a company to be this transparent and also allow its people this level of, freedom of conversation. So yeah, it's really great. Of course, there will be bumps in the road. Somebody will say something out of line, or somebody will, that happens. But it seems to me there's a growing maturity of the company, and it's very encouraging. So then, of course, at the Tesla Investor Day, the excitement was all around the next gen platform. It's not a vehicle. It's not a single car. It's a platform. People all the time, they miss that, they keep on talking about it as a $25,000 car. It's not a $25,000 car. It's a platform on which a lower price car, and possibly more than one,
Right.
will emerge, as well as ultimately the robotaxi, of course. But there's a lot more that's going to happen on that platform. The unbox process, we've spoken about that at length, and our audience doesn't need to be, we don't have to open the box for our audience to understand the ideas and the power behind that. And I will say that I read in a lot of the auto trade publications, the auto industry is paying attention.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yes. We haven't spoken a lot about the adoption of casting technology, or large scale. Auto industries always use casting, but the large scale casting technology, or that Tesla have pioneered, and it's changing the industry. So
Right.
One of these days we should do a piece on all the things that Tesla has done that has changed the industry, because it's amazing. I can't imagine a single company ever generating, just in one industry,
Right.
the level of innovation that they've created, and they're in multiple different industries.
And in fact, Larry, just this morning, people can go look at it right now. The last video I'm sorry, this will be yesterday, because this video will be out on Tuesday. So on Monday around the noon hour, I put out a video with Brian White, and we talked in detail about the advantages of unboxing the 48-volt system that's undoubtedly going to be in the unboxed version, and all the other advantages of the integrated battery pack, et cetera. So if folks do want to get a deeper look at least what Brian White is thinking right now in terms of what we're going to get out of that video is available.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it yet, so I'll pick up and follow up after this call. Then, of course, the 48-volt system, which I've opined at great length. So, but I mean, that's one of the things we learned at Battery Day, and so it's just an example of all the things that they taught us at Battery Day. And by the way, the auto industry is paying very close attention.
Yeah.
Believe me. The supercharging, and then of course the announcement that Tesla would advertise, and I think that ties in very strongly with the fact that they now, have started to hire people for their PR operation, which they're setting up. And so that ties in with what you said about, staff at, lower levels of management, or at senior levels of management, but lower than, the first layer, are now posting on X. And so, yeah, we're seeing the corporation opening up a lot more. We're seeing a higher level of trust by Elon in allowing, his lieutenants and their supporting executives speaking to the public, and it's interesting because they seem to be very open in terms of what they're telling us. So it's been very exciting, and I think it's the next level of maturity. So we know that the 4680 batteries reached their 10 million milestone. I was expecting them to announce a 20 million milestone a week or 2 or 3 weeks back. They haven't announced it. I think they're not going to announce these milestones anymore. But V2, we now know, is in production, and they're the next 4 lines of V2 are being constructed. I'd be very anxious to learn the dates of that going into production, because that will really impact my projection for the Cybertruck. And the V3 is being experimented on in Cato Road right now. And that's exciting because it raises the possibility of even a higher level a higher power output from the battery, but also the thought about maybe a different chemistry.
Chemistries, yes.
So
That's what I would hope for. I'm looking for the introduction of a different chemistry, since we know that these new chemistries are coming, and some of them have advantages or disadvantages, but are not the same as the lithium battery in terms of those advantages or disadvantages.
right, exactly right, exactly right. And then we get to the to an area that we can definitely debate, and that is we saw version 2 of Optimus.
Yes.
Within a year and a half of the announcement of Optimus, here is version 2. Version 2 is getting closer to a production device, but I don't think it's anywhere close to a production device. I think we are in the very early stages. Everybody's projecting how many bots are now already working in the factories. There are none.
We just have a friendly difference of opinion. I don't know if there's any working right now today. I'm saying there could be. And then the question becomes, and the real question is, when will they be working in the factory, but literally as Sandy Monroe said the other day, literally starting to take over even 50% of the tasks on the line, to where the numbers are significant enough to impact the bottom line, and or start to be looking at something that can be sold or rented to third parties.
I'll definitely address this in terms of my predictions for the future, but
okay.
in terms of the past, and in terms of today, I do not believe that Gen 2 is yet stable enough to unleash into a factory. I think that everything that's being done with Gen 3 right now is being done in a development environment. And if they're in a factory, it's a very isolated and sealed off area of the factory. Why they would need to move into an actual real factory for training purposes, I don't know. But I believe the bot is, I believe the progress has been very significant. I believe there's at least a next version, if not more than one version, necessary before we get a release candidate. We are definitely not at release candidate level, in my judgment, but that's where we are right now. We do see a secular decline in ICE sales. We see the secular decline in Europe, we see it in China, and we see it in the United States.
And it's significant.
And I would rope into the secular decline in ICE sales to say that the Western auto manufacturers, with very few, very limited exceptions, are not yet producing EVs of any consequence.
Yeah, absolutely true.
And they are the ones who are going to most suffer by the secular decline.
Yeah.
And this whole conversation about by the analysts that, EV sales are moderating, blah, 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 is so damaging to these manufacturers. I just don't understand it. And the fact that Ford is stepping back and going to, crippled EVs is what I call these so-called, hybrids. They're crippled EVs, or like crippled ICE cars, or they have no future.
That reminds me, though, Larry, I was planning to do a video, and maybe you'd like to participate in it, on this transitionary idea, the bridge that the hybrids can be. With Toyota and General Motors and Ford and all these guys seemingly all coming together on the idea of the hybrid as a bridge, at least, whether or not that strategy first of all, whether the hybrid makes sense until we, of course, once the Gen 3 vehicles are out, it may not make any sense at all. But short of Gen 3, whether the hybrid actually makes sense as a product, how much market share that might generate between now and 2030 in the total picture. And anyways, it's an idea. It's something that's been going.
But we have the template of what's going to happen.
Right,
we have
yeah.
a very accurate template, and it's China.
Yeah.
China has absolutely demonstrated that the hybrids are a dead end. And that once the manufacturers actually adopt good EVs and start moving towards good EVs, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, anyway, we'll get back to that. But that's my belief anyway. I mean, as always, we could be wrong. And then we've seen tremendous vehicle price disruption in Tesla's margins, directly resulting from how late next gen is in terms of, they just stopped that whole product development cycle when they got into the pandemic situation. And it's costing them. It's definitely costing them because they're having to stretch the TAM of cars that were meant for, a particular price level, and they bring it down. And the big question to be asked, and that will be answered in the next 2 or 3 quarters, is how much they can moderate their costs with the falling price of lithium and the falling price of, many of the commodities, whether that's going to offset the decline in their margins.
And I did do a video over the weekend, Larry, you might have seen it, where I basically threw the gauntlet down. I basically said, game on, Elon. Come on now, you can sell more cars. There's 3 million cars possible. I think I made a clear case. In fact, part of it was based on your analysis that they could build 3 million cars next year if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So why not? Just put down the gauntlet. Tell the team, we're going to sell 3 million cars next year. What do we need to get there? Go back to first principles, analyze it. What kind of advertising, what kind of approaches can we take that might move without necessarily destroying the pricing? There's a lot of other ways to go, and they're doing some of them. But I think of Elon just said, like he has so often before, no, this is the challenge. We have a challenge to make a Cybertruck in 2 years. Okay, fine. Let's do it. Okay, we had a challenge. Let's do 3 million cars next year. Okay, let's say he says 2.8, 2.7. That would still be a number that would knock the socks off of the entire automotive world.
I think the direction of where you're going is correct. I don't disagree. I do think the number is more constrained than that. But maybe you're right. I mean, I haven't watched the video. We've had guests, and we've had a lot of celebration this week.
Larry, I started with your number of 1.3 out of Shanghai.
Yeah.
Add another 700,000 from Fremont, you're already to 2 million.
I know.
You just have to do 500,000 from Berlin and Austin, and you're there. That's 3 million. I mean, it's not, I don't see this as a hard number to get to.
Well, my number wasn't 1.3 out of Shanghai. It was 1.2, but.
Oh, right. Well, then add another 100,000 in Austin for Cybertruck.
Yes, that's true. That's true. All right. So now that gets to Cybertruck deliveries. Everybody's telling me I'm crazy about the 100,000, that it's not physically possible. The machines are not turning them out fast enough. They don't have all the machinery. They don't have the batteries. It's possible. It's possible. Look, they can get to 50,000 Cybertrucks a quarter. The only question is how quickly they get there.
Right.
And the real question is whether they've got the machinery in place. So even if first quarter is a wash and they only produce, a couple of thousand, 3,000 to 4,000, they've still got second, third, and fourth quarter to build towards that 100,000. And, again, we don't have enough information. We just don't have enough information. But if we look at the machinery they've got, the machinery is capable of putting out 50,000 trucks a quarter.
Seems to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. The question is, can they get there?
Yeah.
And can they get there in time? And, we don't know. We don't know. And 100,000 is probably not a conservative estimate. It's not an estimate that, one would take to the bank. But I believe that the possibility definitely exists. Then the so that's for the future. But the point is about last year is that Cybertrucks were delivered this year, and actually, we talked about just or we were told it was just going to be kind of the ceremony. A few trucks would be delivered and then nothing else would happen. But actually, deliveries are taking place.
Yeah.
They're taking place and orders are being taken. And so even though the numbers are going to be, a handful, a couple of handfuls, maybe 50, maybe 30 trucks. I don't think 50 trucks were delivered. But next year, in this year, 2024, we are going to see, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, Larry, that you could say, you could put a little dash after Cybertruck deliveries and say a mind-bogglingly better Cybertruck than anybody was anticipating.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was, some people were anticipating they'd never build a thing, right?
I know, but I'm saying even based on the hyper bulls did not take into consideration the tech that was going to be on that vehicle. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I think I missed that point, actually. Thank you. Yeah, I did miss that point. And then this year we saw the energy business really emerge. We saw, a step up. I think we'll talk about that in the next slide, but I think this is just the beginning, but it's definitely becoming an energy business. When Damodaran, the professor of, or the professor of valuation, of corporation valuation, when he did about a year and a half ago, when he did the valuation, he completely dismissed the energy business. He said,
Wow.
It'll never be large enough to impact the bottom line.
Wow.
And then we learned about Tesla's large compute. They were targeting 100 exaflops by, third quarter of this 2024. And this was an enormous announcement because we learned that Dojo is going into production.
Right.
And so, that is a very important moment. It looks like Tesla have, not only did Tesla get right up front in the NVIDIA H100 queue, but they also have their own processors, and they have, apparently pretty solid production from TSMC. So hopefully, that announcement, I think, was a very positive announcement. And then, so the 1.8 million sales, well, that's the projection for 2024. Why is it on the slide?
Because you're looking back.
Yeah, I'm looking back at 1.8 million. So everybody's pretty comfortable we're going to hit the 1.8 million.
Yes.
I'm going to take the over a little bit, and we'll see what happens. But, some people are saying they're going to squeak in with, 1,000 to spare or 500 to spare. I don't know. We may get a surprise because I think our data gathering is not quite as efficient as it could be at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I mean, yeah. But 1.8, million is what the company said. It's what they've delivered. It was a tough year, given their circumstances. So what are the predictions for the coming year? I think that's more interesting. I think we're going to have an India factory announcement.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
No, I think so too.
I think we'll see this year Mexico commencing. I don't think we'll finish Mexico this year.
Hmm. Possibly. Yeah.
But I do think that the Nevada expansion will begin. In fact, I think it's already begun.
Hmm. Is that why they're not allowing the drones to take pictures anymore?
Has to be the reason.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work that is going on, even in the limited drone picture that we did see. There's already excavation going on, although it's not right next to the factory. But that excavation could be, supporting infrastructure for the build or
Sure.
for the new factory.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question unless they completely change multiple statements that they've made that Nevada needs to be under construction within, days or weeks.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see, because the facility's already there, the permits are probably already drawn. I could imagine that we could see production out of Nevada this year.
That would be very fast for Nevada. It's possible.
In other words,
It's
building
possible.
building the building in 9 months, I think when you're already this far along would not be that difficult, I don't think.
You may be right. You may be right. But India will begin.
Yes.
India construction will not be fast, but
Yes.
it will begin. And then cathode plant will complete this year. It will be ready. It will be in production this year. Lathrop stage 2 will be in full production this year. And I think China plant expansion will be complete before the end of the year. I think they'll be in production by the fourth quarter. China and Megapack factory, we're told, will be in production this year.
Right.
And
Go ahead.
I think we'll have a new Giga announcement by the end of this year, and a European Megapack announcement by the end of this year.
I would be inclined to say 2 Megapack announcements before the end of the year.
You may be right.
I think it could be. I think that this is. I keep looking at the things that are too good to pass up, and Megapack seems to be the thing that is by far the most too good to pass up. The robots, as you point out, there could be issues with regard to completing some aspect of the brain or some aspect of the hardware. There might be. I don't know. We don't know. We're not there on the factory floor. But that's reasonable to assume that we could be months away from actually having a working line there. But with Megapack, we're making them, we're building them, we're shipping them, and we have a backlog, and there's an unlimited TAM. So if the battery stock is available, if there's not a limitation in terms of the batteries to go into them, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be as hard at creating new factories for these as they could possibly be.
I think it largely depends on the last point you made, and that's the supply of batteries that they foresee.
Right.
And time will tell. I can't imagine there need be a Megapack factory on more than one Megapack factory per continent. It's hard for me to see why they would need more than one. I mean, I don't understand why Australia isn't large enough for a Megapack factory.
Yeah.
I know they bought a heck of a lot of Megapacks, but maybe there's just not a large enough market. And Australia could be supplied from the China factory, because China does trade with Australia. It's the major trading partner for Australia, even though they've had their ups and downs. Deliveries, I'm completely out of sync with everybody. I'm saying 2.4 million vehicles. Everybody's telling me it's impossible, it's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I may be wrong, but
I think Nicholas Gibbs is with you. He's at 2.4 as well. I was at 2.35, but after doing that analysis the other day, I'm rethinking.
You're not 3.
Well, I'm not at 3, but I'm thinking that it would be shocking to be some of the numbers, 2.1, 2.2. These numbers are ridiculously low given capacity. So they have to be based on marketing. They have to be based on demand. That's the only way people can be thinking right now, is that there's not just a way to create the demand to get to 2.4 or 2.6 or some bigger number. And as a marketer, I'm just sitting here going, well, no, there's a way. Let me at it.
Yeah, Randy, I think a lot depends on their margins and what we see from their margins this quarter. Because if their margins are not expanding, if they're not getting to better margins, then expanding the TAM may not be economic.
So, Larry, my number one get, in my opinion, is we've talked about it before, is the United States Midwest. Or actually, it's way more than the Midwest. It is from New Mexico to New Jersey. I mean, it's a huge part of the country that's sitting at 3%, 4% EV sales at this point. Massive potential there. I would concentrate 50% of my advertising budget there, and yeah, I might spend a couple of billion. But I would just hit the Midwest, if you want to call it that, with everything I've got. The opportunity is there. I think they can just blow it up.
You may be right. You may be right. I mean, I can attest to the fact that, once you get out of the major cities, there are just no Teslas on the road.
No.
And there's no reason for there not to be Teslas anymore. Those days are over. But the Cybertruck is the answer to that, to a lot of that. And And there's a limit to what you can ship in Cybertrucks until for the coming year. So yeah, we'll see. And then Optimus, I believe we have a V3 Optimus that will be revealed before the end of the year. That will be a release candidate. We will see V3, not we will see, but V3 will be the model that will be tested in factories. I think V3 will have a significant improvement in an additional improvement in terms of body streamlining, walking capability. I think V2 is I think it's a pathfinder still. I think it's not yet the final guy, but I think it's being trained internally, in the lab. That's my view on it, and I think we'll see a reveal, and we'll see pricing, and so we'll get a sense of pricing. We'll get a sense of sales. I think there will be kind of an Optimus, a robotics day. Before the end of the year.
So, Larry, I need to ask you this question, because I think I'm going to be asking every single soul I know this question. Let's assume that we have a final V3, as you're calling it, but we've got the production model. And then we have a production line built around that line. We have to believe that a production line is being designed, at least right now, based on the kind of people they're hiring. They're at least designing a production line at this point. Given the difference in complexity between a robot and say a Cybertruck, once the ramp begins, wouldn't you believe that the number of bots that could be produced on that line in the first 12 months would be in excess of the number of bots that could be, the number of Cybertrucks that could be produced in the first year?
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that bots can be manufactured in very large quantities. There's a significant doubt in my mind that they will be in a position to support the sale of a very significant number of bots in the first year.
So the socialization or the instrument, the going to the factories in. So isn't that just a matter of manpower?
No, it's a matter of experience more than manpower. There is one of the great failures that Tesla's had is in the roof, in the solar roof.
Right.
And the solar roof was a failure of not only implementation, but understanding the complexity of the installation.
Right.
I think the bot is it's not going to be a failure. It's going to be a great success, but it is implementation that's going to require an entire methodology. This is not a car that everybody knows how to drive.
Right.
This is a product that nobody knows how to integrate into a production environment. Nobody knows. It's going to be a learning phase for Tesla, and it's going to be a learning phase for any new customer, and the new customer is going to have to come well after Tesla have learned how to do it.
Okay, so let me ask you the next question. And we just saw you probably saw the video with connecting the dots, where and I can't remember the name of the company right now, but Adcock is the president or CEO, saying that he has people in factories right now. He's got people and his bots in the factories right now, or he's got the people, they're wearing GoPro headsets, and they are already putting together the scenarios where these robots would be working in multiple use cases out there. Why wouldn't Tesla be doing the same thing? They got to be at least as smart as him, or they've seen the video now and they're hiring those people to go do it now. I mean, you can get so far ahead of this curve by having a bunch of people out there. I mean, even if it's 100, even if it's 200, literally the cost would be insignificant in terms of the potential return on investment to put people out there learning the skill sets, learning the things that these robots are going to need to know how to do, and then taking that back to the lab and actually constructing the layout, if you need to, in a lab where the robots could be trained. I don't understand what the limitation is here.
There's no limitation.
Yeah.
But doing that just doesn't get the bot out into the market. I mean, it
preps the market.
But Tesla have internally all the requirements. Look, there are millions of bots in production right now in many warehouses. We started looking at bots in warehouses 20 years ago in my company. So there's nothing new about bots and integrating bots and learning how to integrate. What we're looking at is a very different bot. It's a bipedal bot. It has real hands. It's got real fingers, and its best use is in those really complicated use cases that, the made to purpose bots for stacking, destacking, for all these kind of warehouse things that we've idealized and perfected don't count at all. So I don't think the problem is in the use case optimization. I don't think the problem is in the, in perfecting the machinery of the bot, although, I think the real issue is getting the integration of the mind, of the technology, of the training, of the, integrated that, and solving all the physical problems of walking and stuff like that. That's a long road to hoe. Then, yes, get them all trained and so on and so forth. Get the use cases in the factory and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's helpful and that's good. But because somebody claims that he's doing it in thousands of places, doesn't do it for me.
Just one last little idea. So I did a video months ago. I want to say it was 7 or 8 months ago, showing a very, very fast silk screen printing operation.
Yeah.
They were trying to win a competition for the most number of T-shirts that they could print in an hour. And they had about 9 men standing there, some of them picking the T-shirts up, some putting them in the template, etc., some taking off, some stacking, some folding. So you have all these people doing these different processes. Scott Walter looked at that with me as we were talking about it and said that the existing bot from the first video could have done almost every one of those processes if he had better hands. All he had to do is be able to pick up those t-shirts, put it on the platen, and then a different bot pick up the thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All those things are possible.
Absolutely true.
Millions of t-shirt printers in the United States. Well, okay, hundreds
there is an endless number of jobs those bots can do. Endless number. You're absolutely on target.
Right.
We've got to make a bot. We've got to make a bot, and we've got to make a bot, work, and we've got to make a bot walk, and we've got to make a bot think, and we've got to be able to train a bot. It's just not going to happen as fast as you.
All right, I'm just trying to play it through. I'm just hitting my 3-iron here to see if I can hit the green.
In the research I'm doing, what I say is that the likelihood is that there are going to be, several competitors emerge.
Oh yeah.
And of those, I mean, we've already identified a dozen, maybe a couple of dozen.
Sure.
And of those, there are going to be 4 or 5 winners. And it's going to be winner take most. And my thesis is Tesla is going to be the key, the clear winner, because Tesla is the only competitor, and I'm kind of giving it away here. It is the only competitor that has the production experience and capability, coupled with the AI experience and capability. And it's very hard to find this coupling.
Yes.
So there are a lot of guys out there who, are very good at the mechanics of the bot.
Uh-huh.
There are a lot of guys out there who are very good at training AI, Google, for example, and they could partner.
Yeah.
But a partnership of that nature is very different from an integrated, operation. So there's a lot to be said, but I think that there's no doubt that Tesla will be the winner. But I think everybody who's saying this could happen overnight and it's going to happen tomorrow and it's all done and it's all solved.
Be kind now. Be kind.
They're wrong. I'm being as kind as I know how to be. They're wrong. We're not there yet. We have videos. We have great videos, but I'll let you in a little secret.
Yeah.
We had great videos of FSD working perfectly 4.5 years ago.
Time will tell. We'll see who wins this great debate.
Yep. So that's Optimus V3 reveal. I think there will be a V3. I think it'll be a significant improvement on the current one. Lighter, moving a lot faster, a lot more, a lot better gate, and being able to be a lot more stable.
Mm-hmm.
China, I think we're going to see improving margins in China. We're going to see a new Model Y. Next gen reveal in Q4. Sales commence H1 2025.
Okay.
Training compute, I think we'll see an announcement of the 100 exaflops. It may be a little late, but I think we'll get that announcement this year.
You think we'll have an update at the earnings call?
No, that's typically not where.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have an AI day, and we'll have I think the bot and the training information will come out then.
We do have this other thing, this all hands meeting happening apparently in early February. Would that be?
That's exciting. That's exciting. I don't know that they'll hit. They certainly won't have hit the 100 exaflops.
No, but they could
progress.
give us some
Yes.
progress.
Yeah, those are really, fantastic times to listen in, because we do get updates. I don't know, it'll be an investor day type of update, but it'll be, an update for the staff. So a lot more about, how things are going and, what to expect in the coming future without the kind of investment detail, the financial details.
Right.
Energy revenue, I expect a huge breakout. I think that's going to be the surprise this quarter, because I think some of the implementations are going to be catching up from a contractual point of view. I'm hoping the surprise will come this quarter. It will make a big difference, but it may only come next quarter. But it's coming.
Yes.
And I think next year is going to see, a step up in revenue for the year, and then the next year, a huge step up. R&D expenses are going to blow up.
Oh,
They're going to be about $1 billion to $3 billion over projection, and it could be significant.
okay.
And I think semi orders open up, and I think production, they'll start delivering to production.
And here, yeah, you will be the first to know. My little brain got working this morning as I was waking up and trying to think about the day. I think the semi, it'll be a Gen 2 semi with a lot of improvements.
Yes.
Based on what they've learned in putting together the Cybertruck.
Randy, you're right on target. I believe there will be a Gen 2 Cybertruck.
No, semi-truck.
Semi, not Cybertruck, semi. Sorry. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. And I believe, I think that it's being modified I don't know if they'll call it Gen 2, but I think we'll see a significant improvement in the Cybertruck, in the semi. And the semi is really a great product. I mean, I wrote a thing up on the semi, and I showed that it could be a very significant contributor to top and bottom line.
Well, Brian Wong and I have been talking about that since the book, since the Elon Musk mission. And Brian thinks that it won't be winner take all. It'll be winner take most. He's projecting that they could be doing 3 million a year. I backed off of that number to 1 million.
That's very high.
I backed off to that number to 1 million a year. That'd be 25% of TAM, and 1 million a year would be an enormous business.
Yeah, they may get there, but it's going to take a while because the variations of trucks that they would have to supply, they'd have to cover a lot more use cases. The use case they cover right now is a much smaller TAM than
Yeah, no, I'm talking 2030.
Fair, very fair, very fair. So that's what I see for the coming year. I probably missed a lot, and I'm probably wrong a lot, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, that's good. It's a really, really good look at the category by category. I'm doing those. You may have seen a couple of them. I'm doing each of these categories separately, and they've been getting extremely good view rates. So I'm going to just encourage people to go take a look at those.
Yep.
And then today, yes, whatever day it was, Sunday or Saturday, I forget, I put out something, Larry, that you may have not looked at yet, that talks about the coming together of all these technologies in a single year. And of course, you're not going to agree that the bot is going to be part of that, but all of these technologies come together in a single year is going to create some opportunities, especially in terms of this Gen 3 vehicle, where the cost is just going to be so much lower than any other automaker that it's going to blow things up. It's just going to change the world, so to speak.
Yeah, I disagree with you that I think you're misreading what I'm saying about the bot. I think the bot's going to be come of age, can mature internally next year.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's going to be a V3 reveal, pricing and sales going to begin in late 25, but that means that I think the bot is going to start being useful to Tesla internally towards the end of 24, because I think V3 is going to be actually usable in the factories.
Right. Okay.
And so I think we'll see a maturity. A lot depends on how quickly they're able to train. There's stories coming out from these other guys saying, oh, it's so easy to train, blah, blah, blah. It's like people saying, oh, I've got bots in 50 different factories doing 100 different use cases.
Right.
I discount that kind of talk I come from the software world. That talk is so cheap. It is so easy. All right, so let's just look at stock price very quickly.
Okay.
I did a very quick analysis of how the stock moved last year. And really, there were 3 trading ranges last year, as best I can make out. We started the year down at the 120 mark, and very quickly we reestablished a trading range in the 190 range.
Yep.
And we drifted in that range for a while, and then we had the step up to the 245 range, where we're kind of stuck right now.
You do have to point out right where your dot is right now. Straight above there was that 299 and 12 cents or whatever it was that was just short of my 300. But I'm not going to talk about that.
Right. Well, we just about touched the 300, but we also bottomed out at at the 200 and
Yep.
So I mean, this is a range. It's clear that they were in the range, and everybody was looking at every move in every day and trying to assign a reason, a value for it. But if we look at what the main driver behind this was, I really think what we're looking at is risk.
Mm-hmm.
What I've done here is I've looked at the VIX against these trading ranges that we had, and if you also look at the S&P at the same time, you'll see that the trading ranges really ranged according to the level of risk in the market. The correlation is not, 0.9, but there's a huge impact of risk on, what was possible. So there's exogenous and endogenous causes, but that's to me the story of the year.
Yeah.
That was how I saw the year. And so, when I look at what's coming in the coming year, and I think about how last year went, it was a mark time year for Tesla.
Yeah.
2024 is going to be a transition into the new era for Tesla. To your point about all these technologies coming together, it's kind of the same point I'm trying to make.
That's what I noted as I was seeing what you were saying. I'm thinking Larry came at it from a different direction, but basically arrived at the same idea.
Yeah. And so it could happen next year. It could also take another year, but it's coming. That moment, that magic moment is definitely on the horizon. So, and then, if we think about the VIX and we think about the interest rate impact or the macro impact in general, because the VIX is really just a proxy for the macro, right?
Sure.
This is kind of what I'm seeing in terms of if the year comes to pass the way we optimists think it will, if interest rates moderate the way we think it will, and, as long as sales and the Cybertruck, deliver, as long as we see the progress with Optimus and the release of Optimus, I think these are the ranges we will establish. Now, I know they're not the ranges you want to see established, or that you perhaps even your followers do, but this is quite an optimistic viewpoint.
Okay. And of course, everybody would be very pleased. Every stockholder, I think, would be thrilled to get those kind of returns next year. My difference is I just actually published a video this morning, Larry, my first video on Monday morning, where I was giving a little bit of my direction for next year without giving any stock prices like you did, which is that if the convergence becomes visible to the street.
Yep.
If they begin to see, oh my goodness, we've got FSD, robots, batteries, lithium refining, dojo, and they begin to see, look at this convergence that's coming together here. Then we might see another one of those run-ups like we did in 2019 to 2021.
This is a run-up.
It's a decent, yes, but
this is a run-up. This is a very, very optimistic viewpoint. If you're more optimistic than this, then you and I will agree to differ. This is very, very optimistic. But everything has to go right. But I will make this point. If it be not now, will be later.
Yes.
To use the words of Shakespeare. That convergence is coming. Notice nothing about FSD in 2022, 2023, or about 2024. I'm a 2025 guy. I've been for a while. I think 2025 is optimistic, but really possible. I'm very excited about V12. I think V12 is going to take a while. Very excited about it. Whether it takes less than 12 months, I don't want to gamble on it. But that 320 is going to go north if V12 happens. If V12, actually gets out of beta and becomes, a true FSD release. I don't think it'll happen in 2024, but all of this points to a great 2025.
Absolutely. And of course, you've seen my videos where I talk about 2026 as the obvious. Everything is done. Everything that we're talking about now is in full production, three or four plants making Gen 3 cars, Optimus in production, FSD, Robotaxi, all of it happening in full production by 2026. That's only 2 years away.
That's right. That is exactly right. So even if we're still in the doldrums at 240 to 270 through the rest of next year, in 2025, the market would be dead from the toes up, not to see what was coming in 2026.
That's right.
But of course, there are competitors that are coming in every field that Tesla is in. So we'll see. But man, it's an exciting world to live in, and an exciting time to be living in it.
That's right.
Of course, it doesn't need to be said that this excludes wars and excludes, other macro events that could change everything.
Of course. Absolutely. Larry, thank you as always for bringing your wisdom and your analysis, because that's what we try to do on this show. As I say all the time, we don't know if Larry will hit his numbers. We don't know if Randy will hit his numbers, which are much higher than Larry's numbers. Pay attention to the analysis more than the actual numbers. That is what I learned from Larry. That's what I learned from the Bryans. That's what I learned from Lutz. I mean, all these guys on the show, I'm interested in how they get to their numbers. I incorporate that into how I get to my numbers, and hopefully we all get smarter. Did we freeze?
No, I thought when you said smart, I thought that was the end.
Well, there you go. Thanks again, Larry, for coming on. And to all of you out there, it has been great talking to you. Is somebody going to join Patreon? All right, I'm going to make a deal. This is going to be, I've done this once before. It worked a little bit. Actually got a lot of people joining Patreon the last 2 weeks. But the last 2 days, not a single soul. So let's get you up on Patreon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one free audiobook. You can have two free if you want, or you can have one free audiobook and the Cybertruck bottle opener. How's that? 1 and 1. Okay. If you join at the $10 level, not at the $5 level. If you join at the $5 level, you just get the one book. Now, if you're completely new to the channel, this is a bottle opener. It is a refrigerator magnet. It is 3 millimeter thick, stainless steel, really, really tough. Comes in a very cool magnetic box that makes it a great gift item. It's got all kinds of people now buying them as gifts. as a result of the fact that I have so many people that want to buy them as gifts, and they're putting in these larger orders. I do have it all down. I think I put it all down below. I'll have to double check and make sure that it's up to date. They're normally $25 a piece. You get 2 for $45. You get 3 for $60. Okay. You get 100 for $210, and you get 200 for $400. Gets you all the way down to $20 a piece. If you are out of the country, I need you to add another $20 to that for freight, whichever one of those ones you pick. And then if you are, and then please let me know camo or regular. And of course, you can mix and match if you buy quantities, however you want to set that up. So is there anything else I have left for you tonight? I think I've said it all. I have enjoyed speaking with you yet again.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.